Greetings, welcome to another exciting episode of Age of Empires Castle Siege Tutorials. I am Dice Gods, and in this tutorial what I would like to touch upon is some more advanced castle design and layout techniques and things you can do. I get a lot of people in the later ages, 7, 8, even like 9, who have questions about how to make their castle better. I did create a video prior to this, and if you haven't watched it, I strongly suggest that you do so, wherein I kind of talked about the fundamentals of castle design. In this one I'm going to be a little more, elaborate on some of the more advanced things you can do in the older ages. What we have here, this is an age 10 castle, and in all actuality this is the very first tutorial video I've ever made with my main Dice Gods account. Most players at age 10 probably have a pretty good idea of how to lay out their castle, but there are probably some players who could still use a little bit of help. I don't know. For that purpose I am making this video. So anyway, one of the things that I like to do in the later ages is kind of set up my castle like more off to the side, kind of like more off into the corner, as opposed to having a centrally located keep and then building my castle around that. And that's pretty common. You see a lot of players do that. And what that does is it limits the amount of room that they have to maneuver when you set your castle up, kind of like off to the side like that. And what I generally do is I put all my short-range towers on the periphery there, or like right on the very edge as far as they can go. And that really makes it difficult for a player to have to like set up their trebuchets and start taking down your walls without taking any damage, without drawing any fire. And one of the advantages to that is it costs so much in terms of troops and hero powers and all like that, just to break through if they want to take the shortest route to the keep there, that hopefully they won't have a whole heck of a lot left over to try and get through to the rest of this. And it limits those 2-star losses, which is pretty critical. To a certain extent, you have to expect that any highly skilled player is pretty much always gonna find a way to get your keep, but you just kind of want to make it as difficult as possible for them to get the keep and everything else. So another thing that I like to touch upon and just make sure that I stress is a compartmentalized layout to your castle. As much as possible, have things broken up into cells, if you will. This makes it a lot more difficult for the enemy to move around and just take out a lot of your resource buildings, your storage buildings. They can't just run around real quickly and easily and take out your towers and then move on to the next section. It's like it makes it a lot more difficult if they have to sit there and chew through a wall every time they want to move, to get to the next whatever structure. So, and as a general rule of thumb, what I like to do is kind of have like an inside arc of longer range cannon towers surrounded by an outside arc of archer towers, and that creates some pretty good synergy, because the long range cannons and the musket towers can't really fire short range. So by having the archer towers kind of like out in front so as to like chew up meat shield, while the cannons can work on trebuchets and rams and whatnot, the siege engines. Let's see here. Another thing that I like to do as much as possible, and this takes a lot of like forethought, if you will, and it's pretty clever. But as much as possible, I like to have my guardhouse troops have freedom to maneuver within the castle. And as you can see here, if you look very carefully, my guardhouse troops can pretty much go anywhere along this arc here. Inside of there, there's gates that allow them, so that if perchance, the enemy wants to attack from this side, well, my guardhouse troops don't have to go out and run all the way around the outer perimeter of the castle. They can actually kind of just go right through there, and same in the other direction, So from here, they can go right out here, right up through there, and they can run around over here and go out through there. The more maneuverable, or the more mobile your troops can be, and the less mobile the enemy's troops are, generally speaking, the better off you're going to be. And I did show how this was done, but I'll just very quickly kind of demonstrate again how you accomplish that. It's called I call it just the gate keep trick, pardon me. And how you do that is just take one road, and then you take your keep. Oh, not quite. There you go. And then you can move your keep, and the gate will remain. And that allows you to have these really tight compartments wherein there's actually a gate, but there's only the one road there that you need to maintain that gate there. Another thing you can do, I do this, I don't really utilize it so much in this design. In fact, I don't utilize it in this design at all. But you can do that with corners too, and you can create two gates with one road. So what you do is kind of like the exact same thing, and then you create your gate. Now, when you go to move your keep, and you set it up there, and then you go to create a gate here, you'll create that gate, but the other gate will convert back to a wall. So what you want to do is leave that wall segment out. Go ahead, create your gate, then put your keep, then drop that wall segment in, and there you go. You got two gates created with one road. I do that with some of my earlier age designs, and people all the time ask me, how did you do that? Well, there you go. That's kind of like how you do that. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is I want to show you some other examples, different ages. I'll just go visit some of my other accounts here. This is an age 8 account. And again, it's the same principle. The castle set off more to the side, off to the side, as opposed to being in the center. The keep itself is usually in this corner here, and that's something else I could touch upon here. I don't design my castles in such a way so that the keep is always on the trade roads. That just basically makes a much easier avenue of attack. Far more often than not, especially like with a ram rush or what have you, they'll just travel right up that road, even if there's caltrops on the road, and get right to your keep. It's the straight line path. And caltrops are usually not much of a hindrance to to those rams when they're boosted like that. To the other troops, yeah, they really slow things down. But what you can do is when you have a peace treaty, you put your keep out here on the trade roads to get the gold and whatnot, and then when your peace treaty's over, I can't move this. I'm so used to being able to manipulate this, but I'm actually just visiting, so I can't. But then the keep would go back over here, and again, it's that same principle where all my short range towers are on that perimeter there. Limits the amount of maneuvering space that the enemy has if they want to take the shortest route to my keep, and if they want to come from this direction, by all means. But that's a long way to go, and there's a lot to chew through before they actually get to the keep. So that really limits the 2-star losses. And again, with the cannon towers on an inside arc, with the outer arc of archer towers, the watch signal and guard houses in the center are usually, as much as possible, these are far and away the most important components of your castle to defend. As long as these guardhouses remain undestroyed, they will continue to send out troops, throughout the entire battle. Same with your watch signal. As long as it remains undestroyed, you'll be able to get relief, from your alliance mates. Another thing too is always have your guardhouses set to attack immediately. I guess conceivably there are some situations wherein you might want to have them wait, but almost always just have them set to attack immediately, because that's just that many more troops that you will have. If as soon as somebody attacks, these guardhouses are just sitting there idle, not deploying troops to go and attack the enemy, then you're kind of limiting the amount of troops that you're actually going to have throughout the course of the battle. Let's see here. Let's go check out a few other examples here. This is another Age 8 account with a much more, I guess you could say, conventional approach, as far as the keep being a little more central to the rest of the castle. In all other respects, this layout is almost identical to the previous one I just showed you, but instead of having the keep right in the very corner, I kind of have it a little more centered. And these two ideas are basically things I've been playing around with, trying to see actually which one is really better. This seems to do pretty much just as well as the other. Again, 2-star losses are pretty uncommon. In fact, I haven't really suffered a 2-star loss in quite some time, over 2 weeks, and that's because of the difficulty in actually getting much more than the keep. By the time you chew through these well thought out and laid out defenses to get to the keep, you don't really have much left for anything else. Also, my guard houses are well protected. The watch signal in this particular case is a little more forward, I guess you would say, but that also allows it to be triggered sooner. So there you go. Just kind of another example, something you can do along those along similar lines. And then let's check out an earlier age, age 7. Just show you that, because that's this is one of my other accounts. Okay, and now this is a very conventional layout, a centrally located keep, the castle built around it, but the same general idea as far as the inner arc of cannon towers with the outer arc of archer towers. Here's something else I suppose I should mention, is having kind of an equitable distribution of your emplacements as far as the trebuchet and catapult emplacements go, and also having these short range, if you're going to have this central, this more conventional layout, make a point of having your short range flame and crossbow towers providing cover fire for these emplacements and these cannon towers that can't attack short range, they can only attack long range. And again, there's a 2-star loss right off the bat, but generally speaking, not, well, I don't know. This layout actually seems to win, which is unusual for me. But the 2-star losses are, drastically reduced for sure. Especially at the early ages, it's so much harder to avoid those 2-star losses. So you just don't have, the ability to create that defense in depth, So anyway, there it is, some good tricks and tips for you. Hopefully you will benefit from them, and if you like what you see, be sure to give me a thumbs up, and if you have any questions or comments, you can leave those too. I guess that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Dice Gods out.